Blades fans, subscribe to Blades Ramble. Up the Blades.
What's happening, Blades? What is happening, Blades? What is happening? Welcome back to the Blades Ramble. I am Jimmy, of course, and we are proudly sponsored by Action Coach Sheffield. They are the main channel sponsor. Thank you to them for their continued support. I'm actually going to one of their 90-day planning events on Friday. I believe somewhere I have got a... I don't know where, though, because I'm not prepared for that. Just like chucking it in every now and again. The Growth Club, the 90 Days of Success, and this channel would not be where it is without the support of Action Coach Sheffield. And obviously goes further than that with our Ramblers. I have actually posted into our Ramblers chat so the Ramblers can potentially phone in and have a chat about what's going on at our club at the minute, because I can't make head and a tail of it. And I'm just... As I'm getting ready to come on, obviously we set up in a studio, got these sent through from SUFC Moments last season, and these are what I'm using. Baldock and Egan coasters. Well, they're no good at the minute, are they? Not while I'm feeling like this. I need to come on and talk about it and vent, because I was saying just last night that I'm starting to get a little bit concerned. Now, I thought John Egan would re-sign, and nobody had told me that he'd re-sign. But I just had this feeling that John Egan can't leave. You know, I get that there's reports coming out already that he's still injured, and he will be injured right up until like October time. So he'd be missing for the first 2 months of the season before he's even... That might be to get match fit, and that's speculative at the minute. We don't know. But if that is the case, then that's possibly played into the decision here. But firstly, thank you to John Egan for his service. What a player he has been for Sheffield United. I understand that it's been announced today that Ozzy's left, which we knew. He's gone to Derby. That had already been announced by Derby before Sheffield United had officially announced it. Jebo left as we were on the Ramble last night, didn't he? Which was no surprise at all to me. We wish him well, don't we? We wish him well. That's probably the most polite way to say it. Ollie McBurney is also on the list of players whose contracts have expired at Bramall Lane, but it does say in the press release that we're continuing to discuss the possibility of McBurney staying. So it's not an official goodbye to McBurney yet. So the one I'm concerned about is John Egan. And look, John Egan had a significant injury last season, put him out for the majority. And before that, he was in poor form. That was under the tutelage of Eki, but more so Mark Hudson, when we were changing things in the defence in terms of how we set up. And like we say, we always talk about it. It's not the formation you play, it's how you implement that formation. And whatever instructions we were being asked to do at the beginning of last season, it was horrendous. We got better as the season went on, but not by much. Not by much, it has to be said. But Mark Hudson did not leave a strong impression on Sheffield United and set us off on a terrible foot. And he is just one of many reasons why last season was so poor. But it's more the realisation of what's happening here. Now, we knew there were going to be a huge exodus. We've already seen huge favourites like George Baldock leave the club. Big hitters like Colin Norwood. I think that was the right call at the right time. This feels a touch early for me. And it's tough. It's a tough one to take. And I'm not comfortable with it. And, you know, I put on Twitter today, I always try and think of the positives and look towards how we can. I understand that he's probably past his peak and he'll be on a good wage and all this sort of stuff. But we haven't got, like, let me have a look at this first team. I was just having a quick look before I came on. And if you go on Sheffield United website now and you put the first team in, well, first of all, it's got Femi Siriki listed as a first team player, Jilly Bouyabu as a first team player, Sam Curtis. I'll take Andre Brooks as a first teamer because he's played enough. Antoine Hackford's now in and amongst the first team names. Cam Archer's still on there. So if we take those names out, which are just filling gaps, aren't they, at the minute? I understand Sam Curtis may play a part next season, but if we're being honest with ourselves, we've got one goalkeeper listed now, one goalkeeper on books from the first team, Gerbic, who we are openly listening to offers for. Defence, Austin Trusty, Anel Ahmedhodzic, who we're also going to be listening to offers for. Doesn't mean he won't be here. We have to have an acceptable offer in place for him. Jack Robinson, Jayden Bogle, who's in the last year of his contract as well. Reece Norrington-Davis, who also is never fit. That's what, 6 first teamers, 2 that we're willing to listen to offers for. We've then got into midfield, Gus Hamer, Vinny Souza, who we're also listening to offers for. Tom Davis, who's never fit, unfortunately. Happy belated birthday for yesterday to Tom Davis, 26, I think. Anis Slimani, who MIA. We've got Blaster and Brooks, so that's 12, but 2 we're willing to listen to offers for. And up front, we've got Ryan Brewster and Will Asula. Ryan Brewster in his last year, who again has struggled with fitness. Will Asula, who has absolutely lit the world on fire for the under 21s, but never really done it in the first team yet. And there's still time for him to do that. And by God, do I hope he does. So by my reckoning, that is a squad of 14. Yes, you can pepper in some younger talent, but a squad of 14 professionals, and 2 of those we're willing to listen to offers for. 3 of those, obviously, sorry. So I may have got my maths wrong somewhere along the way because I didn't prepare for this, but Gerbic, Anel, and Souza we're willing to listen to offers for. It is, however the maths shake out, it is absolutely frightening where we are at the minute. To let a leader like, the one thing we've been banging on about on this channel and in the stands and in the pubs before and after, Triple Point, thank you for your support. The one thing we've been banging on about is we need more leaders in this squad. And we're about to let, whatever you think of Ollie McBurney, he is somewhat of a pseudo leader. And John Egan is definitely a leader. He's not a shouting and screaming type, or he certainly doesn't come across as that, but he leads by example in terms of being a seasoned professional, an international footballer, and we're letting him walk out for nothing. I'm just absolutely raging about it. I can't rationalise it in my head, and I'm hoping this might help. Man Mountain, help me out, pal.
Well,
good evening, by the way.
Yeah, good evening. Yeah, straight in, mate. Straight in. Answer the question.
Sorry, go on.
Cheer me up, mate. Cheer me up. No, so what I was going to say, I'm not surprised about Ollie McBurney. He's clearly playing the game, and if we believe what we've been told or what we've heard, then I think he's probably asking for way too much money, and I think they're hoping that he's assessing his options. McBurney, he hasn't shown any massive desire to re-sign. So I mean, I think he'd be useful for this season because he did help us massively go up when we needed him to from the Championship. So I do think that he does have something to offer, but I don't necessarily agree that he should be able to hold the club to ransom, and I don't think the club should just be paying it, especially with the prospect of new investment coming in and potentially better players to come. And I know that we're in the wilderness right now, and I can understand why you're saying what you're saying about, he's like, McBurney is a bit of a leader in that dressing room, I guess, but like some people have spoke about the damage that's been done to some of these players from last season, and the circumstances. And it's hard because if you've got that toxic environment, it's not a great place to bring in new players, and because that hangover from last season, which was, let's face it, a debacle, an absolute debacle. So it's disappointing. With regards to Egan, to be fair, when he got injured, his performances in the Premier League, everybody was. I think most people thought he should have been dropped anyway. And when you're out for such a long period of time, I think it's probably a case of he is a gamble now because he hasn't played for quite some time, and there were some rumblings about his legs going towards when he played. He kind of dictates the formation as well, because I don't think he is trusted to play as a pair, and hasn't really been since he got to the club. So it really dropped off, and he's been injured a long time. And again, it could be a case of, was he just asking for too much money? Has somebody somewhere gone, well, we'll pay you this, and then he might have even asked the club, like you said, it may be part of an agreement with Notts Forest that they knock a little bit of money off the Worrell transfer fee, because we know those type of deals happen, don't we? Who else did that happen with? Who got someone really cheap because someone else was going the other direction, and we were interested.
Oh, I don't know.
Who was it? I can't remember who it was. It was who signed someone for that? Oh, I can't remember.
I thought you were going with Tommy Doyle.
There you go. That's the one. Tommy Doyle. So he joined Wolves for a smaller fee because they got. Who did they get in exchange? I can't remember. Who did they get in exchange? They got Nunes, didn't they? So they bought Nunes, and then flogged Tommy Doyle on the cheap. There could be an agreement there, because if United had the option to activate the deal anyway, it could be that we said, right, we won't activate the deal. You can, if he's going to sign for Forest, and it could be that it gives us a little discount on Worrell, I suppose. Because Egan might be asking for a load of wedge, and they might not trust that he's going to get fit, and so I'm not crying in me tea tonight. I'm really not. I feel like they must have quite a lot up their sleeve. They've freed up another load of wages in McBurney and Egan, who would be big hitters on our wage bill as well. So there's got to be quite a lot of money set aside for new players to come in.
That's true, but it's another big hitter to walk out the door, another leader that's gone, and it leaves us, well, we're at bare bones now, aren't we? Which I know we're half expecting, but as a fan base, we're already nervous. We're already wondering where we're going to go with stuff, and we don't bring anybody in before we let our main characters leave. It's just
but it's not gonna. But again, that's bound to happen, Jimmy. If the contract's expired and the takeover's not done, they're not going to lob. Like Dozie will be regretting it the day that he signed over that check, because he wasn't through the door yet. They're not.
I understand why it's happened. I get that. I get the delay in us signing, but the situation it's left us in, where the fans are, myself included, now nervous about which direction we're going to go, which players are going to still be available when if the takeover is completed. We're in limbo, and it makes you more nervous. Even though we understand it, it's not a comfortable position to be in. So while I've got you on, mate, I'm just going to bring Billy in as well.
All right,
Bill. You weren't ready for that, were you? You weren't ready.
No.
I'm wondering what this channel is now. Stevie Marr's doing his broccoli. Billy's smashing his tea down.
Mate.
We had an eat along with Jimmy on a Sunday yesterday.
Hey, that were a different channel. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm gonna get myself some snacks so I fit in a bit more. Okay.
You can't bring Steve up either because it was a chicken burger, so he won't be happy with that.
Oh no, mate, I'm comfort eating tonight. You can tell him all you like. A chicken burger, right? Okay, you've whet my appetite now. Bill, come on. Man Mountain is sort of started the sort of, come on. It were always going to happen. It were a risk. It were becoming injury prone. His form had dipped significantly. All very good points. We don't know if we're going to offer him big money to stay, it's a huge risk for the club, particularly in the Championship. I like all those points. What are you saying, Bill?
I mean, I think he's right. I think he's right on the playing side. What I think has been overlooked a little bit is he's such a big leader, and we saw what missing him did to that defensive line last season. That's a concern for me. Is that that would be easy to replace, and not just in terms of replacing it. You know, you might bring Worrell in and he might scream and shout at people and pull people here, there, and everywhere. It might be great, but it takes time for players to learn the club. You don't just get that overnight. And it's not. I don't think we should be flippant about discarding 6 years of doing that for the club. But that means, I think, if the injury thing's true, then I think you can't carry a player till October, November time. You just can't.
Not on the sort of money he'll be on as well.
Not on the sort of money he'll be on. So I think that's it. For me, it all hinges on if he's injured. I think it's probably the right decision. If he's not injured, then it's a bit more of a confusing one for me. But
Billy, we've had a 30 grand cheerleader for 30 grand a week cheerleader and Ryan Brewster for 3 years. We can't afford to have John Egan sat there on 30 grand plus, which is definitely what the ballpark money.
Yeah.
If he's not going to be starting, and there's every single chance that he wouldn't be starting, especially if we go out and sign these other players with big investment. If what we're led to believe, we're going to be the guys who are coming in, they want promotion this season. So for all this panic, we've got to see what we're doing on the day one. When what we got on day one, and what we've got when the transfer window shuts. Because if people are taking over this club to get us bouncers back, they might say to John Egan, "Well, you might not start." They might have 2 better ones good to go, and they might be saying, "We're going to go to a 4. John Egan plays in a 5." That's how we've always played him.
Yeah, I do agree that. Well, I do agree that you kind of got to judge it if and when this takeover completes, and after whatever their plan is after it's been revealed, aren't you? Because you could be spot on. They might bring in Osho, Worrell, and another one. They might bring in Ashley Phillips. He was rumoured earlier. They might bring in, loads of talent, and then you think, well, actually, they've spent money. They've put their hand in their pocket. Yes, we lost Egan, but look at what we've replaced. What we've brought in. So I do agree with that, but at the same time, I get why people. It's frustrating, isn't it? I get the frustration.
It's ridiculously frustrating, and I always try and be positive. And thing is, I think you can't get a much. I mean, we need a striker, no doubt about that. And Ollie Mack's a different conversation, but you can't convince me that Egan and Worrell together behind Ollie Arblaster and Gus Hamer are not an unbelievable Championship spine, beginning of a spine.
But like I said in the chat earlier, unfortunately for us, we probably needed. It shouldn't be Egan for Worrell. We probably needed both of them.
Yeah, exactly right. Can you imagine them two together, dominant centre out? And I know you're right, Paul. He doesn't predominantly, or he's certainly not trusted to play in a 4 at United, or hasn't been for some time. Don't mean he can't. He plays that way for Ireland, and I think he's good enough. But we don't know, do we? There's a lot of unknowns, and we think that's why the decision's been made. Too many unknowns as to when he's going to be fit, how he's going to be when he is fit, how much money he's going to cost us, how long he's out for.
If he were fit, if they looked at him now and he's as fit as you can be without playing for 6 months now, 7 months he hasn't played. If that in itself for a player his age is really hard to come back from, but we've said that already. I believe now if he was fit or approaching match fitness or anywhere near in the condition to start playing friendlies, etc., they would definitely be renewing him. Either there's been a deal done somewhere along the line we've alluded to. There would be a deal done, mate. You've got to believe that he's been out for quite a long time. He wasn't looking very sharp before he got injured, and I said we were talking about dropping him because people were saying he weren't up to anything. We have no idea. But I'm telling you, I do believe, because Egan has been a great player for us. If he was anywhere near his what he can do, like you said, he'd be perfect in the Championship. But what we've been saying for ages, we need to sign some athletes. We need to sign some guys who are robust, fast. Because when we make the transition to the Premier League, if we make the transition to the Premier League, we've got to have guys that can meet the level of physicality required. Like this season, John Egan falls into that category for me of players who would struggle with the physicality of the Premier League. And we need some more players like that who can, if ability wise they can manage, have that athletic ability. And I honestly believe that's going to be part of the thinking.
What I will say is on the timing on it is interesting, because I reckon what's happened is because he put that Instagram video out the other day, didn't he, of him training? So a lot of people on Twitter are like saying, well, he's been training, so he can't be that far away. But that was before they reported back for first day of training, weren't it? I think it'll start today, or was it today, 1st July?
Yeah, that today, yeah.
I wonder if it is a situation where he said that he's maybe further along than he is. I'm not sure I blame the player, or maybe the club thought he was further along than he is, or do you know what I mean? Maybe they thought they could get to the point where we could re-sign him fitness wise, and maybe they've had a look at him, and maybe they've left it as long as they physically can to try and get him to a point where he can play again, and maybe they've just had to pull the plug on it. Maybe that's all it is. Maybe they were trying their best to get him fit, and it's just not happened.
Good evening, David.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for joining us. We're just flying by the seat of our pants here. Right? I didn't expect to sort of have 3 or 4 people in at the same time. But what are your thoughts, mate, on this Egan thing? I see that you are actually our first commenter this evening. All the best to Egan. What a player he's been. Hopefully, we're looking to the future, and his replacement will have as much success as Egan has had. Not panicking yet. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Like and subscribe. Thank you, Dave, for that. That your general first thoughts out of the box. Not panicking about it. Do you think it's the right move then?
Do you know that I like an analogy? So have you ever been building a Lego set and realised about 2/3 of the way through you've got a piece in your hand that you should have put in earlier on? And you have to strip it back quite a long way to put that piece in before you build it back, and it's right.
I don't mind if I have to go 10 pages back, but if I have to go all the way back to the beginning again, I'm going to be raging.
Would you rather be in a position where we hold on to people, or we just look at this season without any sort of forward planning for getting back up to the Premier League? Or would you rather us take a little bit longer and think, let's put the right players in for the future of the club that are either going to be, when we do go up, ready for it, or that will develop and have some form of resale value to them? Because I feel if you're just going to keep Egan, you're just going to keep McBurney, then we'll potentially, we'll go back up. We'll use a big amount of the budget. And when we're back up, they'll be on the books, because, we're not going to keep them on. They're not going to sign 1-year contracts as an extension. And I guess I know we had did we have an option on Egan? I don't know.
Yes, we did. We did. And you have to activate it within a certain time frame, and we chose not to. Which I would allude to the injury, personally.
Yeah, which is sensible. So we could be stuck in 12 months' time with a load of players on the books that we know aren't really up to it in terms of making us, a sustainable Premier League club. We really, they weren't up to it last time, and the time before, when obviously we had the great 9th, but we struggled the season after, and the games moved on so much. I'd rather us take a bit of time, and if these guys, if the takeover happens and they're willing to put some money in, that we bring in players that are for the future as well as just for now.
Do you know what it feels like to me? It feels like, and I'll let you come in, Bill, because I think you want to say something, mate. But it feels like we're on a diet and we're trying to get back in shape, but we've chosen not to eat instead of like eating healthily. We've chosen to just crash, and now we're going to make ourselves ill if we're not careful. I just think there's no room for a transition here. There's no. It's just going to be a. There you go. 20 players out the door. Bring in another 10 and see how they get on. And I think it can work. Look, we saw Burnley's a perfect example of it working. Like not last season, season before, when company came in, they threw a bit of money at it, but it were all self-generated from what they sold. Big hitters left, stalwarts of the team, Tarkovsky, Powell, Pope, sorry, all these big hitters all went. Ben Mee, completely new philosophy, completely new way of going about things, and it worked. How many for that amount of change? How often does that happen though? And it's just a huge risk for me that we're not. I understand what you're saying, Dave, but I would rather give John Egan a 2-year contract if that's going to be a higher chance of promotion. Get up into the Premier League. Yes, he might be a squad player in the Premier League for us. We'd hope he would be, probably. But then he's gone following season, and we've got 100 million quid to replace him. To spend 10 million pounds on a replacement for him. So now we're not going to have the money to do it. We're going to have to bring in somebody, probably on loan. Maybe we spend a bit of money and get Joe Worrell in, but it's like for like. And I get it's a newer model, and but that's one position of so many that we need. And we're not going to be splashing the cash. It just concerns me a little bit. And I'm pleased that you three tend to be on the same page as each other a little bit, because that makes me on the rare occasion, quite like the concerned voice. That's what are we going to do? And hopefully it results in you guys cheering me up and getting me head sorted out about it and calming everything down. But
we announced that Norwood and Baldock were leaving.
Say again, mate. Sorry.
You remember when we announced Norwood and Baldock were leaving?
Yeah.
Saying at the time, didn't I? I kept saying I would have kept them. I would have kept Ozzy as well, because I kept saying, why don't we just do it in 2 windows? Why don't we replace a bit of the squad this window and a bit of the squad next window, and don't try and bring in like 12 players at once? That for me, that was like the limit of like where I felt comfortable with like a rebuild. And I think what you're expressing is like, and I think what a lot of people are expressing is like losing Egan is like the next limit beyond that. Like you've hit your limit with it now. Do you know what I mean?
He's our captain.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I know he's not the purest sense of a captain, and he's not like the most he's not a Billy Sharp type captain, but he's a huge character in the dressing room. And I'm not saying it's the wrong decision to let him go. And I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit here. It's just because he is one of the few final big hitters in the changing room that's out of contract, and we can't keep hold of him or won't keep hold of him. We don't know if it's his choice or ours. Then it just seems like another hammer blow when we're not currently in a position to really bring anybody in of substance at the moment until we go one way or the other. So it's just a bit of a...
That's where
time's ticking.
He's not played in months, though, has he? Let's be right.
No, we aren't.
So there's such a risk there that even if he is fit for the start of the season, I remember, am I right in thinking when this injury happened, they said, he'd be out until just after Christmas or something?
February, I think it was, weren't it?
Right.
Did they say he'd be back February time?
I think so, yeah.
But then if it is February, then February has gone all the way through to the end of the season. And at no point was he close to being back, by the sound of it. That's a long injury.
You could open up a huge can of worms with that, though, couldn't you? Because we have other players in similar positions, and it only really seems to happen to us. And is that an internal medical staff issue, or the way that we're training players?
Yeah, it could be. But my point is that even if you change that, that doesn't mean the damage isn't already done.
Yeah, true. Very true.
So it's a massive gamble to say, let's keep him when he's not played in so long. We don't know what
we've had this before. We're a bit scorned with this, aren't we? Because we thought Jock was coming back, he never made it. I personally knew that Bash was done the day that injury happened.
Absolutely.
And there has to be a consensus that he's not going to come back as he was before. And he weren't pulling up trees, Jimmy. There could be another spanner in the works. It could be that Wilder is on his bike, and he might have and maybe Egan's part of the Wilder brigade, who is a bit disenfranchised, and said to him, "Look, I want to leave," and then maybe they've granted it out of respect for his wishes. There's so many things. My guessing is the injury has to be a factor, because I think he'd have signed if we'd have come back for the end of the season and played 4 or 5 matches. They'd have definitely extended that deal. But I'm really sure that they really doubt whether he's going to come back with any sort of remembrance of his former self. And yeah, you can. I mean, we can talk about characters. You can get characters. Do you know what I mean? We're already talking about Ollie Arblaster being the future of our club, and he's a young lad who's played a dozen matches, and you don't have to have been there for ages. And also, like I said, the some of the damage that we've done last season, to me, if it's going to be a fresh start, if they've got intentions to go out and get players, they might have told him and said, "Look, you're probably going to be a backup player." That's what they might have told Egan as well. They might have gone, "We don't really see you as a first teamer who's going to start every game, so we're going to offer you, 20 grand instead of the 30, 35 that you're after, or whatever. And we want you to extend if you're going to stay." And they might have said, "Well, no, not really. I don't want it." And there's a load of permutations, but for us as a club, he hasn't been any good to us this season at all. Like, no good to us at all. He wasn't very good when he was fit, and he wasn't fit for very long. So, to me, I'm not crying my eyes out, because for me, it means that they've obviously got plans to replace these players. Obviously, they've got plans. You're not taking over Sheffield United to sit and watch it rot. You're not paying £100 million for something that you want to watch sit in the division for another 3 years and lose half its value. So, for me, it could be a very, very brave, but also a very, very strong step forward in getting rid of the old guard. And if he started next season, Jim, and we give him a 2-year deal, and he ends up being a bit of a liability for us, we'll be going, "What have we done here? What are we doing?" When he gets dropped and then sits in the resis on his big salary. Honestly, I don't think it's a bad move. I really think there must be a lot of reasons for it.
I agree, and I think, to be honest, I think a little bit of sentiment plays a part in it for me, and it shouldn't, because we shouldn't be making these decisions on sentiment. I think it's tipped me because of the low core numbers now in the squad. So another 4 have been officially. We knew about Ozzy, we knew about Jebo yesterday. Ollie McBurney and Egan were the big ifs. What will happen? And now it looks like both are probably on their way. McBurney might end up signing on reduced terms, like you say. I personally now don't think Wilder leaves, and that's not an insider information thing. That's if they were going to change it, surely they change it before now, because they have to go with what Wilder wants now. Yeah. Surely he has to drive it at least to start the season.
Maybe they've got someone waiting in the wings, and whoever that person might be might not fancy Egan. Maybe it's that.
Maybe so.
Billy, that's a good point, mate.
What's the model of the club going to be? Because a lot of modern way, it's someone brings the players in, and it's a head coach. So really, whether Wilder stays or goes doesn't really affect the recruitment.
Yeah, that could be true too. Yeah.
Well, there's heavy reports in there that Wilder's working closely with Des Taylor now in terms of identifying targets. Whether that's going to be the model going forward, we don't know, do we? But that it's good to know that in terms of, well, whatever solid foundations we can have, that at least the manager and the potential new, whether it's chief scout, director of football, whatever Des Taylor's going to end up being, at least they're on a similar wavelength now from what we're hearing.
I really dislike this month-to-month contract thing. I think that it is very, very indecisive. I think we're dipping our toes in and not jumping in. I think if you want Wilder to be part of the rebuild, you've got to offer him a deal that reflects that he's going to give him an opportunity to get the players, put them together, and make it work. I think a
Has that been
month-to-month deal.
confirmed though? Has that been confirmed? I know we talked about it last
No.
night, but has it been confirmed?
No, I
It's
don't
heavily
think
rumoured,
so.
isn't it? So we're right to speculate on it, but I know what you're saying. If that's the case and they're half in, half out, and he's on a monthly, then I can't see Chris Wilder saying I've said that. I don't think he would, which makes me think there must have been a conversation because it's 1st of July now, and no announcement about. They're making announcements today. We know that Sheffield United social media are awake today, and we know that they're about. So no announcement about Wilder. You've got to think he is in charge now. That's the way I interpret it anyway, and it's the way I hope. I know a lot of people will differ on that, but you've got to go all in on Wilder at least to get the rebuild moving and start the season. Commit to something.
See, I think that's weak, Jim. I think if you're going to back somebody to rebuild a squad in the way that this squad needs rebuilding,
mate, I agree.
You've got to give him it. And the thing with Wilder is, mate, I get why he's on a short deal because, like I think I said it to you, that if the Prince was flogging the club and while you needed 4 million to 3 million to get rid of Wilder, that comes off the value of the club, especially if they want to get rid of him. And therefore, I get why he's on this short-term deal. What I'm saying to you is, if they're not going to renew his contract and offer him longer than the existing year that exists, and if it is a month-to-month, even worse, why would you trust him to put the players together, the team together in his vision, if you're not going to back him? I don't get that. If you want to rebuild a team and you want to start buying the players that the manager wants to make it work, you got to get the guy in who you want, and you've got to give him a 3-year deal.
Yeah. They either want him or they don't, and if they don't want him, then they've got to go with somebody else at sharpish.
Yes.
Otherwise, there's no point giving a war chest to Wilder if they don't trust him. So,
what's the point of him bringing in 12 players that the next manager isn't interested in? It's absolute waste of time and money.
We've got York in 11 days.
I know. I'll be there.
So,
yeah, but Bill, who cares?
Don't matter.
You can't change a manager. Well, I guess you could change a manager in that time, but
no, I don't think we're changing. I don't think we're changing. I'll be surprised. I'll be surprised at this point. I wouldn't have been surprised a couple of weeks ago, or 2-3 weeks ago, just because of all the noise that were coming out of the club. But noise. I said that there's hardly out on social media, is there? But you hear rumours everywhere online and things like that. Things were uncertain, but I'm hoping now. We haven't got the time to change a manager now. I don't think we have anyway. We've let him bring in his own scouting team. We've let him bring in his own medical staff from more reports. You can't be half in like Paul says. You've got to. If we're in, we're in. Commit to him at least for the year. And I know what you're saying, Paul. Ideally, you give him a 3-year deal and you say, look, we're going to live and die by you now. You are Mr. Sheffield United, as you say. This is it. This is your opportunity to rebuild your legacy. If they don't believe in him, then you sack him and you bring in a Liam Rossini or whoever it is. And I'm not saying that's the name. I'm not saying that's a name I'd want particularly. I like him. There might be other names that people want, but you've got. This is what's making people nervous because there's no certainty about which direction we're going in yet. If we had a bit of a plan, if new owners were in last week and they said Wilder's the man, he's got a budget, and then Egan leaves today and McBurney leaves today, you're okay because you know that it's got Wilder's sign off, it's got the club's sign off, everybody knows what's happening, there'll be a plan. And at the minute, there might be plans, but they're under different stewardship, aren't they? And it's a little bit fractured. And
is it? It doesn't appear to be joined up thinking. Or at least public. Maybe it is behind the scenes, but
yeah, let's not assume there's not a plan just because we don't know about it.
Yeah, that's
dangerous.
No, there is a plan, Dave. There definitely is a plan, but there's more than one plan because we don't know the direction it's going to go.
As far as we know.
That's as far as we know. That's
all I'm saying.
A takeover plan and there's a non-takeover plan, isn't there? And you have to have those two plans.
You can very easily spiral yourself into a place of doubt and negativity, only thinking about what might or might not happen, if that makes sense. So I think it's just, if we're worried that there isn't a plan, let's not assume that there isn't one, because we don't know there isn't one.
No,
I'm not explaining it
there,
in a very good way, but
no, I know what you mean, mate. And to be honest, I certainly don't want to be negative. I want to try and be more positive about it, but I can't come on and say everything's cool, everything's calm, and I'm relaxed and I'm good.
Yeah,
because I'm starting to get a little bit.
I don't think any of us are sort of necessarily totally relaxed and cool, but our deadline isn't the York game. Our deadline would never have been the York game, even if
Absolutely, yeah.
takeover was sorted or it had ended. You know, we've got to accept that the start of the season is going to be challenging, because we're still going to be bedding players in, but it's going to be the nature of the beast. And I think we just need to just breathe a little bit and just right now trust that everything's going to be okay. And if come the end of August it's not, then I'm sure everyone will quite rightly have a panic about it. But it's just,
I think you'd have it. I think you'd have every right if we got to towards the back end of July, and things were, we'd signed 3 or 4 freebies and we had plans for a few loans. I would be a little bit panicky at that point. But we've got to, again, at this point, the day that the contracts expire, which means the free agents that we're after are now free to sign for us. So I would expect announcements in the next 3-4 days, definitely, because I'd imagine that some of those free deals, even if they're squad players, will be coming through the door to start their pre-season work. So I'm just, you got to sit tight for now, because again, until the takeover's been ratified and put through, they're not going to be throwing loads of wedge going, oh, sign him, because it takes financial commitment. And as we've seen, these things are dangerous until that the names are on the line, takeover's been done, it's all done and dusted. They're not going to start throwing money at us to go and start sweeping up the best players in the championship and paying big loan wages on players and stuff like that. It's not going to happen. So don't panic yet, and because it could be the best thing that's ever happened to us. that's the next thing. You can all sit here crying and moaning.
We might have a couple in already in training. It's just, we've had.
Well, this is what Blades always is asking. Are we close on any signings? I know you don't want to say much, but is there anything you can say on anyone? Example, Burrows or Shackleton. Other Blades up there. I think Shackleton is one of the worst kept secrets going around Blades sites. I think McCallum is also a name that's heavily speculated to be coming in. Nothing confirmed as yet, but I'd expect those two to be the first in if we're going to do any business. Jimmy's the only man to save my mood. Well, I don't know about that tonight, pal. If you ask me, I think it's unacceptable that Eags and Ollie Mack go. About 9 first-team players left. No takeover, no signings, no money, no hope at this time. Joe, come on.
Come on, Joe.
Just breathe.
Just breathe, boys. Just breathe, boys and girls. Evening, Jimmy says, Bright. Firstly, congrats to Sean and his wife on their news today. Hope all goes well, whether it's a boy or a girl. Yes, Sean, one of our Platinum Ramblers. Congratulations to you and your partner, mate. And fantastic news that they're expecting a boy or a girl. And I believe tomorrow is the day they find out whether it's a boy or a girl. So congrats, pal. Brilliant news. If we haven't activated signings due to lack of funds, imagine if a takeover wasn't on the horizon. This takeover is our only hope at the minute. We don't know if any. It's not a lack of funds. It's a lack of how much. So we can't. I think we've been through this as best we can, but like there's 2 budgets, and you say one is 10 million and one is 30 million. You don't want to be spending towards your 30 million one if we end up with the 10 million one, and that's not accurate figures. That's just an example that I'm trying to give. Bryce says, read somewhere that Wilder has to go through Des and the new owners before he can get the players he wants. Does that resonate with you? Yes, that's true, mate. Because you got to check with everybody. We're checking with 2 different bodies, which is why we've not made much progress on the incomings, unfortunately, at the minute. David Ahmed says, great servant, best years are but the best years are behind him. Blades fans are too sentimental. We've hung on to players far too long. speaking our language, lads. There, I think, to be fair, a little bit. At least Adam Davis is staying. No, he's not though, is he? He's not. He's got released as well, hasn't he? Was that
They not
announced today?
mentioned him.
He's not meant. They've
Have
not
they
mentioned.
not? Well, he's not.
No.
He's not listed on website either. He's just disappeared. Where's Adam Davis? Should we do like a mock milk carton thing?
Yeah.
Missing Adam Davis, last seen in Wales. When will the nightmare end? It's just bad news after bad news. Even Shackleton is bad news. Injury prone Leeds reject, says Hyder. This club is in big trouble. I don't think.
Sorry,
go on.
sorry, I talked over you then.
No, go, mate. Go.
Well,
You're part of it.
Everyone's down on Shackleton before he's even got here. I was reading a thing the other day about him that Riley, who's contributed to the channel before, posted on Twitter,
And will be again.
Yeah, I think people are going to be surprised that he's actually he is still a utility player, but they'll be surprised at how much of an upgrade he is on Osborne.
Yeah, because we think he's like an Osborne alternative, don't we? He's right-footed, but he's a utility man that can play midfield, right back. He can do a little bit of right midfield if you like, if we're going to go that direction. I think it's a decent championship squad signing this. And I think because he's not a huge name and he's not going to walk into the first 11, I think you're right. People have been a little bit negative about it because it's not a wow signing.
Right.
It's a
as
very
much as you don't want to
signing.
hear this, Leeds United have been one of the strongest teams in the championship every year that they're in it. And if he's part of that group and they wanted to re-sign him, I don't think he can be that much of a month.
No, I think they like him as well.
I'm not having that on this stream. I'm afraid he had to go. We don't praise Leeds United here, I'm afraid.
Right, Jimmy. You know when you were doing that starving analogy, is that why you're in such a bad mood? Is he not letting you eat anything today? Is that what you're trying to tell us?
I'm on the biscuits, mate. Sorry, Steve. Sorry, mate. We've done very well on the Ramble Fitness Challenge, actually. I think between 17 of us, we have lost £159 in a month. Really good. And he's opening up a couple of extra spots to anybody that's interested as well. So shout out to Steve, but I am not participating this evening. It's bad time for the club.
So many jokes.
Thank you for your services. It's probably the best time for all of the release lads to go. Don't ruin their reputation at the club. That is a very good point, actually, because I often said stuff like that about John Fleck, Norwood. They were the two for me. Ender Stevens as well, to a degree. Stayed on maybe a season too long and started to sort of get a bit of stick from the fan base. Mark Duffy didn't. Mark Duffy left at the exact right time, even though it was a shame for him he never got to play in Premier League. We don't have any memories of Duffy not performing in the United shirt, or I certainly don't, or very few, obviously. He had the odd game. But, yeah, Ender Stevens stayed on a season too long. John Fleck, probably 2 seasons too long. Ollie Norwood, a season too long, maybe. Although he started in the Championship the first 6 months, I thought he was outstanding, and then he's just never been at the same place since. So that is a very good point from Ollie, and that might be the case, like you lads are sort of half saying. If his best years are behind him, do we really want to see someone who's been such a great servant for us on the decline? Might be a fair point. Point.
I just add on Egan as well. What I think they should do, whatever the situation is, you know how they got Fleck back in January to have like a send-off in front of.
Yes,
I think that's a good. I think they should do something like that.
You've tweeted that out, haven't you, Bill? I think.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. I think he deserves that at least from us.
Yeah.
Whatever's
that
situation is.
It's not happening if he signs for Forest, is it?
No, fucking them.
Whoa.
Sorry.
Demonetized. Brilliant. Let's close that again. Brian, potentially now Egan's gone, Davis, Souza, Ahmed Hodzic, Bernie as well. We're going to need about 13 to 14 players in, with a caveat that I'm pretty convinced there's a lot going on in the background. I am too, Brian. I think there's a lot happening, but can't press go on out yet, can we? 10 or 11, what your class first team players left, says Joe, yet we still have no signings, no takeover, and we're 5 weeks away from the season starting. This needs to take a massive upturn quick. Yeah, it does for me. Thanks, Egan, for your past efforts, but we've got to move to pastures new. We need reliable players next season, and he's been hit by serious injuries. We've got targets, so we all knew changes was to happen, Jimmy. Relegation is certain, says Crystal Blade. Don't kid yourself otherwise. Eclectic mix, us Blades fans, aren't we? Eclectic mix. No, not John as well. Feels like all the players I really liked are leaving, says Andy. I know it's a lot of people's. It's a sentimental thing that though, isn't it? And you can't get drawn in with sentimentality. Another masterstroke by the 10 Bob Prince. It's laughable. No signings, just like last season. God help us this season. A lot of people thinking that the takeover talk, like Gaza, I assume, is just a smokescreen for no action. It's fair to say that Prince Abdullah's had a terrible record with prospective buyers in the past. We've got to hope it's third time lucky here, because otherwise, can't wait for the promotion party at Stoke away. Love that.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Amber warning lights on for Andy. I get it. Don't be fooled by this new owner's BS. It's not happening. 10 Bob Prince is pocketing the lot. Watch what happens first home game if nothing's been done. Shoes off in car park by the sound of it, Gaz. By the way, I love your streams. Keep it up. Thank you, pal. Thank you, mate. Think McBurney's just waiting for other offers from clubs, and if he doesn't get any better, he'll stay at us. He'll have to make a decision in the next 2 weeks before he falls behind in pre-season. I think he'll probably stay on and train with it. I might be wrong. Because that's a bad look for me if we're having players that aren't contracted to the club training with us. Again, what do you do? What do you do if he's not going to be with us going forward? Would you have him training with lads, boys?
Nope.
Not unless he's signed. I won't. I don't think.
Probably not, no.
Can't leave it dragging on forever.
No, you
Yeah.
can't. I think that's right, though. I think he's waiting, and it's a business decision for him, innit? I suppose it's his future and whatever. But we won't be offering peanuts, so just make a decision. Mark says, "Hi, Jimmy. Egan's been a great signing for the club, but the injury last season must be the reason for the Blades not to renew his contract." I think that's probably right. I'm well behind on these comments, by the way, lads. Been going to the lane since '62 and can tell you the Prince is the best owner we've had, hands down, in my opinion, says Tom. These last 18 months are really dulling his star. Need some positive action. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Like and subscribe. Why is Simple Simon not putting any statements out to notify the fans what's going on? Simple Simon?
Does he mean?
Is that Bettis? I don't know. Is that Steve Bettis? Now he's Simple Simon. I don't know. Sent you the current starting 11 on Twitter. I'll have a look at that, pal. The likes of, I forgot Benny were even here, to be honest. We're getting desperate. We certainly are. Bean says this is getting absolutely ridiculous. May as well sell Hamer and Arblaster so he can officially hit rock bottom. Thought last summer was bad. This is currently even worse. Club don't have a clue. Biggest summer in years, and this is how we're acting. I can't remember the fan base ever being so low as it is currently. We now need probably 15 players. Not a chance it happens. So I was talking to Andy the Blade before I came on. He wanted to come on the stream with us tonight, and he's currently chuntering because his internet's knackered at home. Sky have offered him an upgrade or something that I didn't even need it. They've come and they've messed it up. They've cut me off, and I'm not back on till Wednesday. So he couldn't come on. Basically, is long and short. I had to explain to him what had happened, and he had a bit of a rant, and then he were like, "It's been a lot worse than this, though, Jim. We have been in a lot worse positions than this. We're coming down from Premier League. Yes, we're losing a lot of players. It's just we're being saying there it's lowest he can ever remember fan base. I mean, lowest I remember fan base were under Adkins, and there's fans older than me that have seen a lot worse than that as well. So it's not the lowest we've been. It's certainly nowhere near the lowest we've been. But it's just wow. I'll go for Ndidi at Leicester as out of contract, says Danny Boy, as well as Keeper from West Brom. Both are leaving. It would be two good signings there, Jimmy, on a free. Bringing Brown on a free transfer as well. Good leader. I think that, there's rumours Brown from Preston might be coming. I like Keeper at West Brom. I don't think we'll get close to Ndidi. I think his wages will be huge and they'll probably renew him. We've released 13 players now, which must have freed so many wages up, and we're taking absolutely ages to get free agent squad players in. Doesn't add up. We do things so slowly as a club. We really do. And I understand it at the moment with the delay, but it's
didn't the contract expire yesterday? Am I getting this wrong? Didn't their contracts expire yesterday?
Yeah, they did.
Right.
They did.
So, like I said before, they've announced that the lads are leaving. That's going to happen because the contracts have expired, so they officially do that. That surely means, in my brain, if they've got free agents signed up, it'll happen over. They'll announce them to again appease the fans, but also it's going to happen over the next 2 or 3 days, isn't it? That must be what's going to happen. It's not like we're not 2-3 weeks down the line and we haven't signed them. We're a day in. We're not even at the end of the day. The day that they're actually free agents. So
Yeah,
I think
right.
it's a lot of this is premature. We've hit the button.
Yeah.
The pitch will be different again in 2 weeks, and then in 3 weeks, if it's still anything like it is now, and we're still 7 or 8 players short, we have every right to sit here and go bananas. We're not even the first day out the way of the free agents becoming available. We've got to wait to see what the budget's going to be. We have to be able to, we have to be able to buy players that are going to come in and play. There's no point in signing 3 or 4 guys who are quite cheap, who again on the understanding that they're going to be playing, and then we get this giant influx of cash. We start hoovering players up because you got like you said, Jim. You sign players, and when you sign them, you tell them what their role is in the club, what they're going to be doing, what we're promising them, and you allocate budget for it that way. We can't until the takeover's done. They're not going to go, oh, sign in for 5 million, sign in for 5 million, sign in, because they have to commit cash to that. And until it's done, we've already seen someone commit money to the club and lose their money. And so they're not going to do that. We just got to be patient. I'm not nearly as irate as you are, honestly. The loan signings, the 5 loan signings, I think we're going to have a lot of budget to sign a lot of really good loan players with 2 weeks to go before the season kicks off, or a week to go before the season kicks off. We've basically got rid of probably our 2 biggest earners, Bernie and John Egan. So I just don't see the big problem here. We're freeing up spaces in the squad. We're freeing up wages. We've got parachute payments. There's a lot more to be hopeful for. We've got the best academy side in the region, as far as I'm concerned. We've got a lot of good things going. We've just bought the training ground. There's a lot of good things to think about, I reckon. We've just got to sit tight a little bit. It's going to be like this for a week or 2, but it'll look different again next week and the week after.
Just add to that. Has any of the big free agents moved yet?
No, not really.
Not saying we get him, but like Callum O'Hare.
No,
he's probably.
They've only just even announced that he's definitely going today. So
we've not. It's not like they're going elsewhere and we've missed out on him. We're just like Paul says, just give it a few days, see what happens.
It's like Rob Stanton said on radio earlier. Like he reckons that a bit of patience now in the next couple of weeks could be repaid massively at the end of this window. And I think he might be right. I think especially if the takeover is advanced as we're led to believe it is, then he might be right. I think we've just got to hold fire on smashing the panic button for now and just wait and see.
I love that. And that's where I want to be. Evening, Jim. Wow, what a day to welcome back to training. All the best to Egan. Gutted he's not staying. Where do we go from here? Really need some positive news this week to calm it down. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Like and subscribe. Tim Walker says, evening, Jimmy. Has anyone heard anything at all from CW since the end of the season? I wonder what he thinks of the situation. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. I think he's probably as frustrated as us all, but it would be accepting of it. I think he understands the situation we're in. And is from what everybody's all the news noises coming out of Bramall Lane is if he's given the chance to lead the rebuild, he's absolutely chomping at the bit to get it done. I'd imagine the new ownership must be ready to take over. If not, I'd expect Wilder to walk up the Blades. We're saying yesterday that we need patience, but scrap that. Absolute shambles, says Sonny. Fans deserve way better than that after last season. Why do we always get the short straw? Sarah says, I'm gutted about Eags, but not so much the others.
The big problem is that it's coming off the back of last season. If we'd have gone down with 29 points and put a show in every week and this was happening, I don't think anyone would be feeling the way that they are.
Do you know? I think it's better that we were annihilated, because then you can sort of say this squad is done and we need a full reset.
that's the counter to it. But I think a lot of people are just thinking like, oh, here we go again. Look what happened last summer. It's a repeat. It's going to be the same again. I think that's on a lot of people's minds, which I do get that. I get the frustration, but I just think just take a breath.
Yeah.
And see. Let's just see.
Okay. David Moore would say, good evening, pal. Can't say I will stay awake for a whole show, but I mean, for now, unlike Eags, up the Ramble, up the Blades, like and subscribe. Is there any news at all from the club as per when we can expect just some form of news? I bet Darren Smith is getting peppered right now. I bet he is, Scott. I bet he is. We were expecting some news late last week, early this. FX Autopilot says Egan's 31, a very good age for a centre-back. Where are we going to get someone in like that for free? Jimmy keeps slimming, mate. At this rate, you'll get a game. I don't know about that. Feels like the Prince is trying to recuperate his bank accounts by selling off the assets before leaving. Feels like a disaster waiting to happen. I don't think that at all, to be fair.
No.
Yeah, Sarah's a bit scared when we read the current squad out loud. I think it is frightening, but I'm trying to get on board with the lads here and sort of trust what's happening in terms of there being plans in place, because we know there are plans. It's just we don't know which direction we're going in yet. Evening, Jimmy. Is it true Wilder can only sign players, but only if he gets a big yes from who holds the purse strings? Thanks, Egan, and good luck.
It's always the way.
That's no different from any other club. And at the minute, we don't know. Both sides of the ownership table have to be happy with any incomings, which is why incomings are so slow. We need a decision on the ownership and the takeover. I don't mean fully ratified. I just mean we need to know what direction the club's going in before we can seriously start with incomings. We're a joke, says Andrew. Nothing changes year after year. I think a safe bet we'll finish in the bottom half. By saying reset, we're going back to League One. Wow. Scotty, good evening, pal. Only reason I see the club have decided to let these players go is if the owners coming in have bigger plans for the club. Well, that is the most positive way to look at it. So, fair dues. Andy says average incoming for the league is 3.5 players so far. Burnley and Leeds are top of the list with 8 players each, according to Transfer Market. Interesting. Interesting.
Really?
Yeah, that's surprising us, man. I don't think that's right.
I don't think that's right.
I'm not seeing. And then
do you know what it'll be? Do you know what it'll be? It'll be loan returns because they list them on Transfer Market, don't they?
Yeah, it will be.
So I reckon that's probably what it is. I might be wrong with that, but Roy Baxter, another Mountain night. Man Mountain, so sensible as always. Unbelievable. Why do we seem to have such issues with wages and contracts, says Scott? Are players just trying to rinse us, or are we not paying enough? Just seems to let negotiations run for ages too. Does make you wonder. No, I think we're good payers, to be honest. I think we are good payers. It's like Noel's house party with a surprise camera at Billy's. It's rubbish that the fans are always left guessing and speculating. But let's be honest, without transparency on a reasonable level, that's all we have. Scott's wanting a change of formation due to Egan leaving.
Yes, please.
My goodness. Chirac's in the room. We need to sign athletic, fast ballers. These pub players who Wilder likes are dead in today's game. Wow.
That's a good point.
I like the first half of that sentence.
Yeah.
The longer this situation with the takeover goes, says Cole, the worse it gets for us. We need to sort our stuff out and get the squad ready because the season draws near and yet we still don't progress. Okay.
That's fair.
Jimmy lad, I'd leave the analogies to Dave. Is that what for when I was doing my slimming analogy? I thought that was a decent analogy, to be fair, Sarah, but I'll take that. I'll take that on the chin.
It's like I'm starving and now I'm going to eat a whole thing of biscuits.
It's not quite what I said. But you're not far off. Listen, I'll start eating on stream again. Nobody wants that. So the friendly start soon. Don't forget to take your boots and get a game. But why waste money going to the games in the first place? I'm definitely going to the game.
Come on, Andrew. Chin up, mate. Come on, Andrew, lad.
Dino says Keith Andrews has left as well, gone to Brentford, highly thought of coach. I don't blame Keith Andrews one bit for that, to be honest. If he's uncertain as to whether he's actually going to have a job next season, because let's be right, we still don't know whether Wilder's staying or going, then the Premier League come and say, come and join us then instead.
True
It's
story.
a no-brainer for him. I guess we've only got half the story here, all the outs and none of the ins yet. Of course, we can't have that bit without the takeover. That's right. So, Tim, absolutely sensible. Ben says, anyone got the relegation odds for next season? Got to be worth a £20 punt. Wow.
On Wednesday.
We're not going down, are we, surely? Yeah. FX agrees with Man Mountain. Either give Wilder 3 years or get shut now. H says, hi, Jimmy. What effect is this having on season ticket sales? Treating us like mushrooms kept in the dark and fed on. I don't know about season ticket sales, to be honest. I think I wouldn't have thought it'd have massive. If you're going to renew, you're going to renew.
They've sold a lot. The availability on them is slim.
Yeah, absolutely. Yard Dog says, has Jebison left? Yes, he has. I saw him actually laughing at somebody's tweet that we're a bit harsh, to be fair, but he bit back at somebody, which I never think is a good look either way. Wilder is not allowed and dare not speak on any of this mess. He's now a yes man and very glad to be one. I don't take it that way personally. I don't.
Anyone who has never met Wilder knows that he's not the type to.
I agree completely. I think he knows he's. I wouldn't say lucky to be in a job, but he'd struggle if he was sacked. I think he'd struggle to get the same stature of job currently.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. Yeah,
but other than that, I think he's certainly not a yes man. What do we think happens if the takeover doesn't happen? What sort of squad do we think we'll have or recruit? I think we're going to have to act fast, whatever happens that way, and we'll revert to the original list. Just wow, let's not even think about it. Absolute silence from the club, says Chris. It's disrespectful to the fans who turn up week after week. The Blades. Up the Ramble, please like and subscribe. Try living through Division 4. Now, that was bad, says David. Absolutely right, pal. Is the fax machine plugged in, says Chris. I'm just going to spin past a few of these because I appreciate we're behind a little bit. What will come first, new signings or the kits?
Kits always take forever, don't they?
I know. You're a kit man, aren't you, Billy?
Oh, I love kits, mate.
So,
big kit.
At what point are you going to?
Whoa! What? He's muted himself.
I don't know. Sorry, I'm back. So that was exciting. I was doing a Jimmy playing with my mic. That's it. Anyway, stop touching it. No. So when we're going to flip this round, lads? When we're going to actually sit here and go, do you know what? This is going to be the most exciting transfer window we've ever had. We're having a new owner who has potentially, who certainly will have a lot more money than the guy who's leaving. We mixed opinions on the Prince, but he came out and he's man enough to say, I ain't got the money to set this club forward. This takeover goes through and we need all these players replacing. This could be the most exciting transfer window of our entire lives, because we may sign almost a brand new team with the guys, with the five guys who've already got who we think are going to play. Jackie Longfellow's got to play, Bogle's got to play, Blaster, Hamer, Brooks. We've got guys in there who are exciting, young players, exciting players, our best players, let's face it, from the previous season, plus another 10 who may improve our team massively. Loads of the old guard gone, and just lots of youth and good players to take us forward. Because let's face it, if we kept all of them, like we've just said, going up, even if we got promoted, we know they're not good enough. So at least with this, we've got the prospect of signing athletes, real players who can bridge the gap, go up the level, and we can hopefully, with the injection of cash, we can hoover up some of the best talent and some of the best loan players available to sides at our level. This could be the best window ever. All right, that's all I want to say, because it could be a disaster, but I don't think it will be, because I don't think anyone acquires a club like ours with 30,000 fans destined to be top of the league with one of the biggest budgets. That is not a recipe for disaster. We've got to remember where we are, boys. I think it could be amazing.
I love that. I love that. I couldn't say anything better to wrap us up. Dave, Bill, anything to add to the Man Mountain's closing statement there?
No, because I
Nailed
don't want to bring the mood down.
I'm telling you, boys,
So
it'll be brilliant. It'll be brilliant.
Yeah, honestly, mate, you're now on record as saying that. So well done for being brave. And I appreciate the positive rallying cry. But for now, these lads are pros at this, Bill. You're gonna have to join in.
Okay,
Come on, you
I'm
red
ready.
and white wizards.
Oh, the Blades!